gossip, spitting tea, little secrets between you and me. Countdown ticking, let's get real. Heart to heart, it's how we feel. Girl talks in 8 minutes time. Ring that bell, let's feel the rhyme. Share our dreams and tell our fears. Girl talks, wiping all those tears. Snap a pic of what we wear. Brush our hair, let down our care. Conversations never lie in this moment with you and I. Clock is ticking, here we go. Words like rivers start to flow. Tune your ears and hear the beat. Girl talks makes our time so sweet. Girl talks in 8 minutes time. Ring that bell, let's feel the rhyme. Share our dreams and tell our fears. Girl talks, wiping all our tears. Clock is ticking, here we go. Words like rivers start to flow. Tune your ears and hear the beat. Girl talks makes our time so sweet. Girl talks in 8 minutes time. Ring that bell, let's feel the rhyme. Share our dreams and tell our fears. Girl talks, wiping all our tears.
Morning, y'all. It's 5 minutes and 30 seconds before Girl Talk starts, so you have just enough time to grab yourself a cup of coffee and get in a comfy seat. We'll see you soon.
Catch Girl Talks every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
GURLTAUX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Lights moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be me. A beat chatter, it's our routine. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. GURLTAUX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Girl Talks can be seen. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's Girl Talks, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. GURLTAUX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Girl Talks can be seen. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. GURLTAUX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. Girl Talk Show is here to stay. Girl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Girl Talks is all about. walking down this road tonight, talking about the things we fight. Addiction knocking at my door. E&T wants so much more. We walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, together we'll move along. Searching for a brighter day, holding tight along the way. Sobriety's a steep climb, D&T winning every time. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Whoa, yeah. We walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Whoa, yeah. We walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Girl Talk, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along.
Okay,
Can't
well, I
see
should
us
have
now
went.
because it keeps wanting to play something else. I don't know. It's frustrating. I'm learning. I'm learning these things and I don't know. Can't see us now because it keeps wanting
Okay.
and for
so-
whatever reason it wants to do its own freaking thing, so I can't. Hello, can you add us to the scene, please? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It kept not wanting to do it. I don't know. I'm cold. I'm cold today.
Are you?
Yeah, I couldn't get warm today. And of course, I was running late because I've been working and I was running kind of tight on time. We are doing good though. It's 7:06 and our intro is 8 minutes long, so technically we're a minute early.
Hey.
But who
We got-
knows if there was any noise to that intro? I don't know. I hope you can hear us now. So that's all that matters, I
think
guess,
it
right?
is. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. As long as they
there's
can hear
sound.
us now, that's all that matters. So, and I can't figure out why I cannot change. This is new because I'm using this new program, and I'm so used to StreamYard.
Mm.
And StreamYard, I mean, I've been with StreamYard since 2016, 2015 or something like that. But their price, my yearly, because I had the higher end one, my yearly was about $400 or so, and it went to $830. And if they think I'm going to pay $830, they're smoking some
Well,
funny
especially
shit,
for like
especially
some
in this
te-
economy.
Well, and also too, it's not like it was like they had to send you a new upgraded product.
And they haven't done
Like,
anything new.
They just decided to double the price just because everything else is going up. Why not? And
Yeah.
like, what?
Everybody
No.
uses us, so let's double our
Yeah,
price. And
yeah.
and that is true. A lot of people use them.
But that's not okay.
But I have been using them for so long. Like, I know how to do all the features really easy, and it is easier.
Mhm.
It does function better. It
Mhm.
is a little bit easier putting your overlays in there. The overlays actually act like overlays. You would be in the background with it around you. This
Mhm.
one is, I could just have I could have a white screen. Like, it doesn't matter. I could just because all you do is put the picture on it.
Right.
So it doesn't work the same way. It doesn't function the same way. And so because of that, I do like some of the other stuff better. And, it is what it is, I guess. I will learn all these things, and I will learn how this all works, and I'll figure it out, and I'll find a better way of doing stuff. And then I'll be happy with it. Until then, it's going to take a little bit of work. And I cannot figure out how the life of me that it made when I set it up for February, and I want to change, I change the title every time. So now every single time I go back in, and I have to go back into YouTube and change what the title is, because I cannot figure out for the life of me anywhere in here where the title is. Plus, if you see this little block right here with our name on it, I don't want that there. I don't need it. Don't want it. Don't want it there, because I have an overlay with our names. It will not allow you not to have a name. So I put ... and then it puts the name of our channel. I don't want that there. I have our branding. You fucking idiots. So I don't know. I'll figure it out as we go, and it's just a lot of learning and finding where all the little pieces and parts, because it's probably really easy. It's probably really easy for me to fix what I need to fix. I just haven't figured out where, because I also do a job, like my business. Kind of like you got your business. So we can't spend, and I spent way too much time on stuff today anyway. So, it is what it is. So that's all right. We'll get through it. So anyway, how are you today?
I'm good. It was an okay Monday.
It was an okay Monday?
It was an okay Monday. The sun was shining. That's always a good thing in my world.
It was definitely a Monday, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mine was pretty mellow.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, I was busy all day working, but it wasn't outrageously nothing extraordinary happened. So
Okay.
that's always great for a Monday.
Well, that does help.
I have to get my
sure.
water heater replaced, so that's been kind of a challenge because it doesn't warm up like it used to, because I'm putting a lot of strain on it, washing dogs all day. But so that's like the only challenge I have. But I gotta take some time to go buy a water heater, and then we gotta take time to,
Yeah. We have to go buy all the supplies to make our chicken coop, and then we have to build it.
Yeah.
But I evaluated the cost of a Carolina coop to the cost of the one Steve has designed, it would fit into their price range of their $20,000 to $25,000 one that they would sell.
Jeez.
And we'll be able to make it for about $2,000. That just tells you,
Crazy.
I mean, it
Crazy.
does have some benefits to having your own tools and know-how, I guess.
Yeah, it does.
So this is, I'm just showing this screen right now. This is what our thumbnail is supposed to be looking like right now, and it doesn't. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the we're talking about Ukraine, and we're talking about Zelensky, and we're talking about what has happened to at the White House. You know, like the whole debacle of what they happened, what they did, what they said, what the media has said, and what other people are saying. So I did a lot of research myself. I know you said did you ever watch the whole entire Oval Office?
I didn't,
Okay,
because I got sidetracked.
so I watched
on
it.
everything.
I watched it live, and I will tell you, while I was watching it live, I was picking up on body language. I was picking up on stuff that he said, like when he said, "You have an ocean between us, and you don't feel it now, but you will." I took that as a threat. I really did. Like, I took it as, if you don't help, this is going to come over here. And Trump's like, "You don't know what we're going to feel. Don't tell us what we're going to feel." And I agreed with them. Now, at the same time, I am going to say that I personally did not necessarily care for, I know it was meant in a jab, and it was meant to be funny, and it was meant to be like not really a big deal. But it was meant kind of in jest, and it's kind of Trump's personality thing or whatever. When he first greeted him out of the car, which we got into a heated debate about this. I'm going to tell y'all. Kimberly and I got into a heated debate in the car because I didn't know it happened twice. She didn't know it happened twice with the conversation on what he was wearing. So both,
And we each saw
the two
different ones.
and we're both on pretty much the same side. But it can show you how easily people can get defensive or whatever, because what I saw was in the White House, in the Oval Office, where I felt like Trump was saying it in a defense of him and defending him.
Mhm.
And that was how it's been portrayed by a lot of people now. Like, he tried to bring a little lighter to the, it was kind of already getting tense.
Mhm.
And I do think that the reporter was out of line for asking the question, like, do you own a suit? He is a dignitary in your president's office. If somebody were to tell him you need to put a suit jacket on, or you need to put a suit on, it would have been Trump or one of his people. Like, one of his people that worked directly for him could have taken him aside and said, "President Trump wants you to wear a suit during because they were walking, they went into the office, whatever. Prior to all the cameras turning on, prior to it happening, if Trump had a problem with him wearing a long sleeve shirt with their country's logo on it, he could have told one of his lackeys, so to speak, because they're not a cabinet member, but one of the people that work for him in the office, running coffee or whatever, could have said, "Please go get him a suit and tie," you know, and he could have. If Trump had a real issue with him not wearing a dress jacket, Trump could have asked for that, and he didn't. So he obviously didn't have a problem with what the dude was freaking wearing. So I
just want to say, like, because I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? If I was a poor broke ass leader of a country that was coming to beg for money, I'd probably play the part too if I was an actor.
yeah,
I mean,
I
because
can
he
see
is an
that.
actor, and you know what his experience is for being the president of Ukraine?
This war.
No. he was in a series acting as the president of Ukraine before he was the president of Ukraine.
Right. And now his experience is this war.
And so now, but I mean, his presidential or political experience came from
Prior
the
to,
stage,
yeah,
right?
right.
So I'm like, well, maybe he was just acting like a poor broke ass world leader that needed a couple
I need
billion
some money,
more.
man. Can you just
Come on, man, look at me. I mean, I can't even afford to go. Couldn't afford to die.
Well, yeah, and
I
then-
just picked this up down at Sally's on the way over here.
So, in your defense, there, I would say then he should have said, "No, I don't. Can I borrow one?" when he was asked about. But I do think that the reporter himself was kind of inappropriate for him to ask. It was a very rude way that he asked. Do you
Yeah.
own a suit? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it put
and-
him on
and
a
I-
defensive right
Well,
then and there.
it did. And I imagine, like, because, and I'm not, I mean, I guess I'm trying to play devil's advocate a little bit, but
Fuck you.
like he was, well, no, just be like, because I always try to put myself in someone else's shoes just so that I could try to better understand like what their position
Right.
is or whatever. And I imagine because Trump and Vance are so, just their demeanor, the way they hold themselves, the way they carry themselves, like physically, body language,
Mhm.
they exude confidence, they exude leadership, they exude those traits. And poor old Zelensky just saying he ain't used to all that.
Right.
He's used
Well,
to
and-
coming in and handed Dum Dum a sucker and an ice cream cone.
Yeah. That's true, and I think that's what part of it is that he was used to what he was used to before. He just came in and begged with his little bag of little trick or treat bag and goes like, "Trick or treat, I'm here. Can you just put some money in the bag and I'll be on my way?"
Yes.
And by the way, I brought you ice cream. You know, and he was just like, "Oh, okay, ice cream."
Can I eat it on the beach?
And while he stands there like this, somebody goes, "Sir, sir,
Just put the $8 billion in the
Mr.
bag.
Trump,
Come on.
or Mr. Trump, Mr. Biden, wake up, get your ice cream." And he's like, "Oh yeah, ice cream." So
That's funny.
So he was used to what he was used to before. And I have some personal opinions about a lot of this. And it's like when
Well, what I was gonna say was that he probably was feeling defensive
especially once
just
somebody
in the
said,
whole like
Yeah.
environment, you
Right.
know, with the reporters, some cabinet members, the president, the
Trump.
vice president, so there was a lot, and this was a big deal to us, but it was not so big of a deal to him, I don't think, because in his mind, he's going to win
right,
no matter what, and we're going to be the funding source for it because we have been for so long.
right.
And so he was just feeling, I guess, but in not playing devil's advocate, he just walked up in there thinking that
That he didn't have to work for nothing.
he was just gonna,
He's just
everything was just gonna
he's
go.
just gonna take it the way it is, and he wasn't gonna have to do anything at
Yes.
all. And that's where, like I go, okay, so when it comes to doing business as usual, and that's part of my opinion area of it, is that yeah, he was doing that because of that before, but was he also able to do it that way because he had stuff on Biden?
Mhm.
Because
That
I mean, he
too.
walked away with his bag of goodies,
Sure.
with possibly the
Like-
only caveat to that was a bowl of ice cream, and he probably didn't even bring that. Okay, so we're just saying that bullshit, but he didn't come
Handed
with
him a Baskin Robbins coupon. Like, here you go.
Wendy's,
With
small
the small
nasty. Like, I mean,
No kidding.
so he came in there always getting what he wanted without any strings attached. No loan, no return on the investment,
Right.
no nothing. Just here you go. Take his little bag of money and hightail it out of there. And there was no accountability for where it was spent. I'm gonna get a little pissy for a moment. So I just had to fill out a whole bunch of paperwork for the IRS for my nonprofit. And it was described in detail. We need a little bit more information because I had to file my 990s or whatever. And it was not rejected, but it was like, we have to answer a few more questions. And so it was, fill out in detail. Like you say, you provide this, fill out in detail who, what, where, or how, why, when, and what you're also going to do to ensure that the funds or the resources or the goods are used in the manner in which they were intended. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I have no control over that once they leave. Like once I give somebody a box of food, I can't guarantee they eat it and they don't feed it to their dog.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what am I going to be able to do because our nonprofit helps veterans. And there was at least 6 questions about how are we going to guarantee or how do we ensure that the funds or goods are used in the manner in which it was intended. I can't. Like, there's literally no way to do that. Now, I didn't have to answer that part of it because we don't give money.
Okay.
So I was like, and I talked to my IRS agent and I was like, okay, so this asks for this, but we're not a funding source for veterans. We do a service. We don't give goods and we don't, I don't collect clothes from people and give clothes to veterans. I don't collect food for people and give that to veterans. I don't do that. So she's like, oh, just write NA on all those. And at the very bottom, just say what you actually do in definition. And I was like, okay, that made it easier. But the amount of questions that I had to answer, and it was past, present, and future for everything. What did we do in the past? What do we do currently? And what is our plans for in the future? And I'm like, well, the best I can describe is like the next 3-year time frame is what I have on my mind. Because I don't know. Because if we all of a sudden start getting some really good funding, what we could be providing will change based on how much money we bring in.
Exactly.
And of course, I'm thinking about those NGOs and shit that they found during this whole thing. And there was one who started with $100 and they got like a $2.7 million grant or whatever from the government. And it was to teach how to fill out a job application or something. It was some bullshit thing.
Wow.
But it was somebody in Congress or Senate. And don't quote me on it because I don't have it up in front of me. But it was one of their wives that started this nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
It was somebody in Congress or Senate.
Okay.
So they have to approve all these things. And they started with the $100 fee, basically, that you have to, and it costs more than that just to file to get your 501c3. So how did they qualify to get that kind of money? They went from a fund of $100 to like $2.5 million. And you only have to show proof of using 10% of it towards the thing that you actually do. That's by legalities. I own a nonprofit for veterans, and 100% of it has been funded by me and my husband. 100% of what we have done is by me and my husband. We have put them, and we have not claimed a single penny of it. Like when we file for our stuff, we don't go, okay, we were donated $50,000. and write ourselves a receipt for $50,000 for our tax. We've never taken a single write-off for it. We've never taken a single penny from it. And every dime that goes into it goes to buy the goods that we need to make the stuff that we make for our veterans and get veterans in to do their paint or whatever work they're doing. So I got a little heated when I was reading mine, especially while I'm watching what Doge was doing. And I was like, what the, how is it justified that these people are getting this shit? Like, nobody in the IRS picked up on this stuff. Like, when they're filing, like, how did they go from $100 to 2.5 million? Like, maybe this should be looked at. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. So it also makes me look at when it comes to that kind of stuff, did he have stuff on Biden, like people have said, which is the reason why he was able to walk in with his little bag of money bag or empty money bag. And Biden just like, how much did you need this time? And he's like, pictures are at the bottom, and Trump reaches in with money and comes out with the pictures. What is it that he had on him? What is it that made him just give $350 billion is how much he got out of Biden with zero strings attached. Now, the other part of this that really has me bothered, and we'll get into the actual thing that happened, but the other part of it that has me bothered is he met with anti-Trumpers literally hours before this meeting who told him not to sign it. And they tweeted about it because it was tweeted out. I think I have a copy of that. So it makes you really wonder, like, what was the deal with that? How did they go and have a meeting knowing Trump was having a meeting? That's what has me so pissed off and so bothered by it, because there should have been zero reason for them to meet with him in the first place. Did they already try to set it up so that it was it ain't gonna happen? That's what I see. I see that they set it up that way. And I'm gonna pull that up really quick so we can look at it. Come on. Hello. There we go. What do you think? Did you read about the meeting aspect? Did you hear about that?
I had seen something about it. I can't see that far.
I'm going to pull it up right now.
And also, I had read somewhere. Did I read it, or was it something I was listening to today? I don't know. I'm so inundated with information, but that he'd already signed a mineral deal.
No, he hadn't signed one. He had made
he had discussed signing a mineral deal with Britain.
I don't know that he signed one with Britain. I don't know that. I mean, there's a possibility, but I
wish I could remember.
I don't think that's the case as of right now. But I mean, I don't really know, to be honest with you, if that was part of it or not.
Or maybe after.
I think it was after. I think it was. I think it was after. I have to bring this up so you can actually see this better. Okay, so it says here that I can't even talk. Zelensky met with anti-Trump Democrats who advised him to turn down the mineral deal with President Donald Trump shortly before the Oval Office showdown. According to a Democrat Senator, Chris Murphy, D from Connecticut, President Vladimir Zelensky met with a group of anti-Trump Democrats who told him to reject the terms of the mineral deal with President Donald Trump. The meeting with the Democrats took place Friday, shortly before Zelensky, Vice President J.D. Vance, and President Trump got into a heated clash in front of the press pool in the Oval Office. Murphy posted to X, just finished meeting with President Zelensky here in Washington. He confirmed that the Ukraine people will not support a fake peace agreement where Putin gets everything he wants and there are no security arrangements for Ukraine. The post was made at 11:15 a.m. Friday. Attached to the post was a picture of Zelensky at a conference table with Murphy seated at the opposite side. Sorry. Apparently, I'm not showing it, even though thought I was showing it. Less than an hour later, Zelensky showed up at the White House to meet President Trump. The reason for the meeting was to sign the mineral deal that Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Zelensky had already agreed to. We now know that after meeting with Murphy, Zelensky had no intentions of signing it. The Democrats successfully stopped the mineral agreement and ceasefire that would have been signed, meaning thousands of people will continue to die every week in Ukraine. So this was their meeting. Like, he met with them prior to meeting with our president.
And who are all those people then? Who are all those people sitting at that table with him?
Those are all the
Are those verifiable senators?
they're I don't know who all they are.
I mean,
but-
well, I would like to know who those people are.
I looked at it earlier and it didn't have a list of all the people, but there was another post that talked about who the people were, but they were anti-Trumpers, they were senators.
Is that a Ukrainian flag in the background?
Yeah. So I don't know where that picture is
States
from.
Flag in the background?
I can't really tell. Let me see.
Well, I'm just asking all these questions because I question everything.
I question
so
everything
I want to
too.
make sure this isn't a picture from his own country and him meeting with his own cabinet, and it's being said that it was anti-Trump Democrats, because if they were anti-Trump Democrats that pulled a world leader aside before he was about to go meet with another world leader to make a deal on a ceasefire to a war,
yeah,
and they intervened to like throw the United States under the bus, I want to know who these senators are.
Well, that one was Chris Murphy, and he is pictured in the picture. So that is one of the things that have been put out there.
And what is his role like in the government besides being a senator? Is he on some sort of committee?
I honestly don't know who this senator is, so I don't know him. So yeah, I would question that altogether. So now
they're not even people that are in the current administration. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if these people are not
they're not
part of negotiating,
that is definitely
like that,
something I'm extremely concerned with.
Freaking treasonous.
Like, how is it that they're undermining? That's a coup-ish thing to me. Like why would they be undermining? See, and it's very hard to see who else. And I have the picture right here. I wish it would actually say let's just read what this article here says.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really
it's
crazy.
long, but we can get through it quickly. Let me see if I can move this over to, I don't know. Sometimes it lets me. Okay. I have to move that other part real quick. But yeah, if it's not legit, I question everything. I say it all the time to people, like, don't spread information, don't spread stuff until you can verify that it's true. Mm-hmm. Because if it's not, then you shouldn't be sharing it. You know, that's my opinion.
You have to make sure. Well, and some people just share whatever because it sounds juicy, but I'm just my personality and the way that I'm made. I don't have time to really be wrong.
Well,
So,
I
like,
I
if
s-
I
I,
open my mouth, it's usually because I know what I'm talking about. If I
I
don't
see
have
that
anything
all
to
the
say,
time. I see people all the time putting stuff out there, and I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking. Like
for
you're
sure,
just saying this,
for
and
sure.
did you verify it at like memes and stuff like that? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't verified that this is factual information, like don't just be saying this is a fact. You know, I see those memes all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, this is fake. This
Mm-hmm.
is false. This isn't real. Don't be like the side we're against by
Exactly.
spreading false.
Exactly.
You know, even like something like a celebrity wearing a t-shirt with some saying on it
Mm-hmm.
that's pro, Trump or pro whatever, and they've never said it. They've never said it. They wouldn't wear
Exactly.
that shirt. I know
Yes.
who you're talking about. Like I've
Yes.
seen the ones with Keanu Reeves,
Mm-hmm.
and he would never wear that shirt. He would never say those things that are on the little shirt. Number one, the Photoshop is really bad because it's like square, and the shirt it has
Some
like,
of it is really
but
bad.
some of it's good, and it's like verify. What did Ronald Reagan say? Trust but verify.
Mhm.
Trust but verify. You know, I am fine with discussing the things and talking about them and digging into it, but I want to verify that what I'm saying is factual.
Mhm.
That I didn't just pull, because I mean, let's just go back to, I showed what our thumbnail is going to be. Okay, so let's be clear. They didn't actually have a UFC fight with Donald Trump and Zelensky. So that's
Right,
easy
you
to
do have
do.
to make a disclaimer, don't you?
Well, no, I mean, I
Like,
don't think you really do on that, because
oh,
it's
some Yahoo somewhere
and that's their problem, because
would
it's
be
easy to
like,
verify they
look,
didn't actually have a UFC
sure,
fight, and he wouldn't wear a suit
I
jacket
said with
and
shorts.
a tie with a pair of, so
Right.
I don't mind the memes that are like that, because it's just a depiction
It's just
of
satire
what
and
happened in the
yeah,
Oval
it's
Office.
exactly.
There was a battle, there was a fight, so to
Mhm.
speak,
Mhm.
and he was kicked out of the White House.
Mhm.
He was asked to leave. So, but the ones where they're spreading stuff that is like, if I had put that out and they had an agreement,
Mhm.
like that is where I go, like, why are you putting stuff that isn't true out? Like,
Right.
it's okay if it isn't true and it's very clear. Like, it's very clear. We all know they did not actually have a UFC fight. Trump did not win a champion belt. It wasn't at a UFC arena. Joe Rogan wasn't there, giving his spiel during the fight. I mean, that wasn't what we have right now is a 6'5", 200.
Man, that's who should have been there to like mediate that with Joe Rogan.
Back to your corners.
That would have been great. Him asking questions and being like, "Fuck, dude, that's crazy."
I'm hoping he like put in for I'm hoping he kind of put in for White House credentials, because if he put in for White House credentials, then I don't know why my stupid thing, I put it there and now I can't find it. It's in the back screen of my little thingy. Oh, there we go. Why did it go dark? I don't know. I am still learning this crap. But I'm trying to get the light on the back of here where I can actually see the screen, because like I can't see a freaking thing on here. It's on my teleprompter here, but all I can see is the blackness of the screen. I can't see anything. I don't know why I can't. Oh, there we go. That's what I had to do. I had to make it dark for dark the other way around. So this will make it at least easier for me to read if I can get my mouse over here so I can, move this around. I'm still learning, people. Okay. That's all I can say. Well, can you let me move this? No, it's not going to work. Apparently not. And now I can't even get it back because I can't move it back over to the other screen either. Okay, so I'll find that again here in a second because it doesn't like me apparently. So this teleprompter works as another screen. And but I'm supposed to be able to scroll up and be able to move it, but it won't let me grab it. It won't let me put it anywhere. So I don't know. I have no idea. But I will find it. So when you talk about the stuff that happened though, in the actual Oval Office, they only show the last 5 to 10 minutes of that meeting. That meeting was 50 minutes long.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of things that happened prior to that meeting. And it wasn't just boom, here they fought about it. It was a lot of other things. And there was body language that was being put out by Zelensky. One of the reporters did ask a question. I don't know if she asked a question or she just kind of blurted it out without it being her turn to ask a question. But on one of the times that Trump said that he wanted the war needs to end, Zelensky went like this. And she said, "Why did Zelensky just shake his head no?" And then if you watch any of the body analysis ones, they will talk about those different things, that his physical reaction to the words that Trump would say. When he was asked if he was on the side of Ukraine, one, he told him it was a stupid question because you wouldn't be here if we're not on your side. But he also turned around and answered it more accurately. And he said, to be honest with you, I'm not on Ukraine's side. And Zelensky had a visceral reaction to that and got an angry look on his face. And then he said, I'm not on Russia's side. He smiled. And then he said, I am on America's side. I am on the side about America and I'm on the side for peace. And Zelensky shook his head. So he was already getting to a point where Trump was starting to pick up on these things. And you have to think also about the setting of the room. The way the room was set up, Zelensky was here, Trump was here. So when he was looking at him, talking to him, he could see some of the things he was doing. But if he was talking to the reporter asking the question, he couldn't see Zelensky's facial responses, his body language. But Vance could. Vance was reading him, and one of the other people that did a body language, and I watched 3 different ones. One of the other ones pulled up one that was another camera angle, and he said literally Vance was like this the whole time, just watching. He wouldn't turn his head to watch Trump when Trump was talking. He was listening to Trump but watching Zelensky. Because he was watching what he was saying. How was Zelensky reacting when Trump was saying, look, we can't have securities till we have an agreement. Once we have an agreement, then we can work on the securities. His face was like, I want those securities first. And then according to the news article I read about this meeting that they had, the meeting was to get the agreement securities first, or for securities. In other words, and from what I also kind of read, is a few of these people that were in that pre-meeting, supposedly anti-Trumpers or whatever, and we do know that the left has been showing that they are on the side of war.
Mhm.
They want us in a war.
Mhm.
They want us to fight because there's money in
Money.
war.
Yeah.
And I see the people all the time. I stand with Ukraine with their little heart Ukraine
Well,
flag and all
go
that.
stand in Ukraine
I'm like, then
then.
go sign up for their military.
Go stand
They're
in Ukraine. You're sitting here in the United States of America being a fucking douchebag like that.
Mhm.
Like, you are literally like, I have zero respect now. Like, I'm losing so much respect just for people, like, as a whole, because you literally can't say anything logical, halfway logical, and without them just like, how can you here is like my bottom line feeling on the whole thing. I don't give a shit about the Ukraine. I don't give a shit about Russia. I don't live there. I'm a United States citizen. I
Right.
did not agree for any of my dollars, however few they may be, to go and fund a war that we don't have a dog in. We don't have a dog in that fight. We don't.
And we shouldn't.
So they
To be
are
honest with you.
willing to put our future and current and future military members in a position to possibly be on the ground fighting because we're part of NATO. And we would have no choice but to, unless Trump pulls us out of NATO, which I vote for that. But as long as there are veterans in our country who actually fought for our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our freedoms, our safeties,
Mhm.
as long as there's any on the streets not being helped mentally, physically, whatever, we have absolutely no business contributing to any other country's military anything.
Right.
Like, that's what I deep down in my soul believe.
I completely agree. I don't think that we should be I don't okay, so I have
You can't clean
2
up someone
children in the
else's backyard
military.
if your backyard's all fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Put your
Like,
mask on first.
right,
You know,
yes.
go back to put your mask on first. Like, it's not our place to and I understand the funding and you need help, but we've given you $350 billion of our money. What have you done with that question I had to answer to the IRS? What have you done with that money? Where has
Exactly.
that money gone? Now, I do know
And you were so heavily scrutinized for your little nonprofit organization that isn't working in the billions.
not even in the
And
hundreds.
right.
Like, it's not even working in the hundreds.
And they want you to account for every single penny, past, present, future, what might be, might not be. We'll see. Like, here's all of our contingency plans. Like, that's insane.
And we're giving them
just
$350 billion and we have zero accountability for it.
Yeah.
And yes,
Crazy.
okay, I am aware of the fact that there is a lot of the money that was given to him technically was money for us to rebuild new equipment, and we gave him old equipment. He got some of our equipment, and that was in lieu of actual cash money. But there's also rumors, and I don't know if these are true or not. I am going to research into this to find out if it's true. But there are rumors that quite a bit of the equipment that we have given him and sent him has been sold on the black market to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been reading about this. I've been hearing about it. I don't know how factual that is, how true that is. I do know I did pull up after JD Vance talked about the videos that are out there of them snatching people
Mm-hmm.
and putting them in their
Mhm.
vans and taking them, and they are now in their military. I did look up some of that, and there are quite a few
Yes.
videos
There
of
is.
people that are being snatched up,
Mhm.
and that's their recruiting process. You are now a volunteer, and for all
For
of you
sure.
having your little flag out there saying, I stand with Ukraine, go enlist. Go
Yeah.
enlist in Ukraine. Not
Yeah.
here. Fly over to
Yeah.
Ukraine and say, I'm here to volunteer my services. Give me a weapon, give me a uniform. I will be in your armed services.
Yep.
Go do it and see how long you last. Because the reality is he needs a ceasefire. And the other parts that started bothering Trump during this whole process was when he made the statement, we will not compromise.
Mhm.
There will be no compromise. We will not cease fire. There's no way to do a ceasefire. This deal that we're making won't work with a ceasefire. And then he said, well, we diplomacy won't work. And he asked JD, what do you mean by diplomacy?
Mhm.
And he said that Putin has gone against the diplomacy. They had signed something. He didn't release the prisoners, da 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 da. And that was in 2014 or whatever. And that nobody has helped him. Trump got pissed when he was like, nobody's helped us. We've given you $350 billion. What do you mean nobody's helped you?
So that's the same story that he gave to Biden back in 2022, or a real similar story. That let me pull it up real quick. Because everybody's talking about how they were so
he rides
disrespectful
he rides
to
on the
Zelensky.
ambulance. He rides on the ambulance saying, nobody will help us. Nobody will help
Well,
us.
this is an article that came out a day ago, and it says months after war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, then President Joe Biden had a fiery private phone call with Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, which included Biden allegedly losing his temper and calling on Ukraine to show a little more gratitude towards the U.S. for its support, a resurfaced 2022 NBC News report shows. Biden had barely finished telling Zelensky that he had just greenlighted another $1 billion in U.S. military assistance for Ukraine when Zelensky started listing all the additional help he needed and wasn't getting. According to an NBC report published in November 2022, recounting a prior June 2022 call that Biden and Zelensky shared. Biden lost his temper, the people familiar with the call said. The American people were being quite generous, and his administration and the U.S. military were working hard to help Ukraine, he said, raising his voice, and Zelensky could show a little more gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So it was perfectly fine for Biden to tell him that
you need
after he was like, oh, $1 billion. Oh, well, we still need 18 billion because this is all, nobody's helping us. And like, that is like 100%.
What am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Nobody will help us.
Yeah.
Well, take what we're giving you and be grateful for it, first of all. Like, that's the very first thing you should do, is be grateful for what you've already gotten, and be grateful that we're even sitting here at the table with you to talk about anything further. And I do stand behind JD Vance and him saying, you haven't even said thank you.
Mhm.
You came into this Oval
Mhm.
Office and you couldn't even have the respect to say thank you in the first place for what you've already been given
Mhm.
from this White House. Not from this president, but from this White House.
Mhm.
And so you need to start at a point of gratitude.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm going to backtrack a second. That's where some people look at, like you said, he came in playing the part of the poor Ukrainian that needed the money. But at the same time, what do you tell people when they're applying for a job? Apply for the job you want, not the job you have.
Mhm.
So dress up to impress, to get better. I mean, so it goes both ways. Like, that is not.
He came in trying to look as pitiful and haggard as he possibly could because he knew that he couldn't appeal to any other part of this administration.
Right.
I
Exactly.
really believe
I
that.
believe that 100% because other people are like, well, you show up in your pajamas when you're broke.
Yeah. You don't apply for welfare with high heels and your makeup done and your nails on.
And that's where I look at it different. I look at it from your perspective because he's not just going in for a job interview to get money that way. He's begging for a handout.
Mhm.
And you don't, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, we're not going to hand over.
And we're cutting off all the handouts in our own country. What makes you think for a hot second you have nothing to offer the United States of America?
Right. And
We're the
our
one
people.
keeping you fighting for this long.
Mhm.
We are.
Yeah, you couldn't have been doing it
You
without us already.
would not have made it this long.
No.
And
exactly.
so, like, what are you doing here? You are milking this cash cow for everything that we've got, and we don't have any more.
Right.
I don't have any more. Do you have any more to give? Because I'm all tapped out. I know, like, I got some dog hair
Here's some
wadded up in
pad
here.
for your blood. You could use it for the blood, you know. I mean, it's 100%. Like, and when it comes to that look, when you think about it from that perspective, if you're driving down the street, everywhere you go now, you're going to come to street corners and exits on and off the freeway, and there's somebody standing there with their little paper sign saying, "Help me." Well, if they were wearing a Rolex and carrying a Gucci purse or whatever, I'd be like, maybe not. If they were dressed to the nines, I wouldn't be giving them a penny, but I don't give them a penny anyway, because I look at people like that and I'm not saying that homeless people don't deserve help, but I'm very skeptical of that because one, I did an expose on one when I was an actual full-time reporter. I did an expose on one. And I literally didn't stand. I did a stakeout on one in my car with cameras.
Okay.
And I watched them. I counted the number of cars that stopped and, hands out, when they put money out and they run over there and grab it. How many times I literally, I don't know how much cash they gave them, because I don't know if that's a $20 bill or a $1 bill.
Right.
But I watched it could be a handful of change. I knew when they got change because they had to go like this.
You're right.
But the times it was cash, it was just handed, they took it. And I knew that they had the cash. But I documented how many times a car gave them money. Now, this woman was in a wheelchair and she was wheeled down there on the corner by her husband. A few times he was with her. Sometimes he wasn't. They would be smoking cigarettes. The man did have a phone. And then at the end of the day, this was their 9 to 5, because at the end of the day, they would pack it up and he would wheel her in the wheelchair down the road and they would troll away in their so I get on the road and I follow, and he pushed her probably about a block and a half, 2 blocks down the road into a parking lot. Into a parking lot, up to a vehicle that was not a really shitty vehicle either. Pretty decent looking one. And I had got footage of it. And they pull up, he opens the trunk, she gets out of the wheelchair.
Folded it up or damn
Folded
self,
up.
hoisted it up in that truck, ran over to that car door and said, "Let's go to Applebee's."
Red Lobster, maybe. I kid you not. Yeah, she is the one that put the wheelchair in the back of the car. And he put their bag of snacks in the back of the car.
Wow.
And then she walked around to the driver's door and she is the one that drove away.
Wow.
I didn't end my expose there. I followed them all the way to their house.
Their big ass house.
They had a decent house in a decent neighborhood. And I got the plate number. Now, I did not go up to the house that day. I got their plate number. I got their house address, because then I'm able to look up who the car is registered to,
Right. Who
because they
owns-
could be going to a friend's house.
Right.
I don't know for a
Right.
fact. And I'm not just going to go and accuse
I
you.
don't know.
This is
Someone's
called,
been sitting in a wheelchair all day and
This
then
is
gets
called an-
pushed away.
but it's called investigative journalism. So
know.
I went and I pulled the registration for the vehicle. I had connections. And I got the listing. When you go to the assessor's office, you can find out who's the owner of the home based on the address. The same name that owned the home was the same name as the registration for the vehicle.
Okay.
So that told me that they owned the house. And then I went out and I interviewed them on the street corner as homeless people that are disabled, and asked, are you getting help? Is this working? Are you getting enough to help you to pay for food? Where are you staying? Is what can people do to help you? Is there somewhere that they can send money? Is there? I did a whole like, I'm here to help you story with them, because then they're willing to talk to you. And they didn't say how much they got, but they said, we do okay for the day, da 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 da. And I'm like, well, do you make at least like $200, $300? And he goes, some days it's more, some days it's a little less. Okay, blah blah blah. Go back, and I cut that portion. I said, this will probably be airing, next week. I said, because I have a few other homeless people I'm going to talk to. And I did. I went and found some legit homeless people to talk to them. But my questions to them were, how would you feel about this person? Not, the same questions. And I showed them video proof of this person on the street corner with, getting out of the wheelchair. So I got their reaction to that. And then I aired it, and then the night that was airing, I went to their house. Well, it wasn't the night; it was probably a couple days still before I actually put it all together. But I went to their house and knocked on the door. She was more than happy to answer the door, and it was really funny, because I hear scrambling between the door. So she obviously looked out and recognized that I was the reporter on the street corner. And you hear scrambling in there, because they don't have a wheelchair in the house, because the wheelchair's in the
In
car.
the back of the car.
Now the car is in the garage, because they had a house with a garage. So the car's in the garage, and you hear rambling around in the house,
Wow.
and you can hear rambling around in the garage and loud clunking. So he's getting the wheelchair out of the trunk of the car in the garage and bringing it into the house so that this person can now get into her wheelchair. And then they answered the door.
Oh my gosh.
And then I exposed them, and I said, so did you have to go get the wheelchair out of the car, or do you have a second one in the house? And he was like, the guy's face was like, how, what? And I'm like, so here's these pictures and footage of you putting the wheelchair in the car. And I even corrected myself. I'm sorry, not you putting the wheelchair in the car, but your wife putting the wheelchair in the car. And you own this house, you own the car, your name is on the title, your name is on the deed, your name is on the, what are you doing? And they were both on Social Security, so they both got a Social Security check. And I don't know if they just needed but be honest.
Right.
Like if you sat out on the street corner and you're like, Social Security ain't cutting it, I'd probably be more willing to give you money.
Right.
I'm also more willing to give you money if you're the guy standing on the street corner saying with
hey,
a sign
I just need
saying,
a beer.
I just need a beer.
Yeah, totally.
Ain't gonna lie, I ain't broke.
Yes.
I'm not homeless, and
Yes.
I just don't make a lot of money, and I really want a beer. I'm an alcoholic. I want a beer.
Yep.
I would probably give him money before I would give the other person money.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely skeptical about it to begin with. Now, I always know when they really don't, that it's for something else, because I quite often, I still feel bad. and I go like, hey, I'm going right up here. I can go to McDonald's and get you a lunch. What would you like? Oh, no, don't worry about it. Well, now I know you just wanted the cash. So I do have reasons that I feel a certain way. But I'll tell you what, I feel even deeper about that when it's another country coming and faking their stuff, because that's where I'm starting to feel like he doesn't want the war to end. Is he really a dictator? He wouldn't allow for an election to happen. Is did he poke the bear enough to get the bear to come in, and now he wants someone else to go execute the bear? Is
like
that
he was the taunter, now he wants the backup to come in and handle stuff, and that's
everybody else is against Putin just because it's almost like just because they hate Trump just because it's Trump, and anything Trump does is bad because bad Trump. And it's almost like the same thing with Putin. They hate Putin so much, they hate Russia so much that it's automatically, no matter what, it's bad because it's Russia. Is that actually accurate? And I'm not on the side of Russia or Ukraine. I am on the side of USA, not USSR, not formerly
UK,
not UK,
or AINE, or whatever. Like,
I'm not on anyone's but our side.
We can't be at this point.
No.
Like our country is like teetering on so many corners because it's just been chipped away at by
We're not
so
in balance.
much.
It reminds me of the when you saw the movie Treasure, that one with Nicolas Cage with
National
Treasure, and they got on that one thing, and they had to like run over here to make sure we're all on the same, we're moving at the same time so that we keep the balance. And we're all like so off balance that we're all having to run in different directions to try to keep this thing from knocking us all freaking over to our deaths, because we don't need to be in this war. And I have kids that are in the military, and I don't want my son being shipped off there to a war zone.
Well, the other night when we were over here and Taryn was talking about, asking questions about going in the military. And
she's
like,
genuinely
I have
interested
to be
in it.
perfectly honest, when we took her to speak to the recruiter, it was pre-election. And I was like, I'm not letting you join the military. I understand you're going to be an adult, but we're going to wait and see what happens with this election. Because if Harris wins, we're going to war. So you're not going to the military, because I'm not going to lose my youngest little baby girl in war. I'm just not, because I really,
especially
go back
fighting
to the beginning.
That aren't ours
we
to
do
fight.
not have any dogs in this fight, period. What we do have in this fight now is a huge investment. And the mineral deal was a way for the United States to get a return on that investment for now and for the future. And it will cause securities to happen by proxy, because Americans will be mining there. Therefore, Russia will not attack Ukraine, because Russia's not going to kill Americans or take the risk of killing Americans, because then that would for sure 100% be World War III.
Right, exactly. And we don't need to be in World War III.
It's not hard to understand all this, but the bottom line is, like, everybody's got to be focused on America. Has to be focused on America.
We have enough of our problems as it is right now.
Going on,
so
man.
We've got to make sure that we are defending our. And I get that,
and it makes me mad that people are fighting over what he was wearing. It makes me mad because that dude could have come in Ronald McDonald outfit, like. The whole point of it was to.
Well, then at least we would understand.
Well, then it would all make more sense.
It would make more sense because it's a clown show. I mean, come on.
Or at least the big shoes. I mean, that would have just kind of been like cool. But I mean, but what I'm saying is it makes me angry that people are focused on something like that. And that's why I pulled up that news article that Biden told him the same thing after Zelensky said the same thing.
Right.
We need. We're not getting. I'm like, can you be any more narcissistic?
Right.
You know?
Like you are getting a lot of help. So I'm going to interrupt really quick because I'm getting yelled at because we haven't been reading our chats.
Oh.
So Donna says, I see you guys now. Logan sends his normal face. I'm assuming that little.
That's the
Oh, okay.
guy, the DAPS guy.
Oh,
guess.
okay.
I don't know.
It from here it looks like a big nose. So I kept thinking it was the dad
It looks
from
like Homer
Simpsons.
Simpson on the
Yeah, I thought
side.
it was Homer Simpson. So Steve
That's
was
funny.
letting us know that Squirrel
Democrat
was letting
from
us know that it's a
Connecticut.
Democrat from Connecticut. Yeah. And Christmas Murphy, I don't know what that means. Christmas Murphy. Chris Murphy. Okay, it just changed it. So, and then Adventures of the Ken Farm pre-meeting could be a case of sedition against the commander-in-chief. Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
I 1000% agree with that. And then Squirrel says he is a pitiful and haggard 365 days a year.
So he is pitiful and haggard. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, if you're playing the part of pitiful and haggard,
an actor.
Well, he has gone after us for so much bloody money. And now he's riding the Trump didn't help me train all the way over to Europe so that they'll give him a handout. And it worked because they did.
Yep.
They gave him a handout.
Yep.
But how sustainable is that to do? So I am going to also, before we read this other article, because we keep talking about it in the same manner, I think it would be good to do our Dear Margaret question for the night.
Okay.
So
sure thing.
We're going to do our Dear Margaret question tonight. And let me, before I pull up the Dear Margaret question, will you do me a favor and just tell me what your thoughts are? You didn't watch the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you only got to see the snippets.
Yeah.
What was your initial? Pretend for a second you don't know everything you know now.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial reaction to the heated exchange?
Like my initial
your personal
yes was because so me working with animals, I'm like on point with body language with animals or people. Like I am really keen on body language. So Trump's like I read the room immediately for body language. Then with the little bits and pieces that I heard, it was almost like Zelensky was well, I've seen this funny, and this is what comes into my head, this funny meme going around. It's a little baby reaching its hand for something, and the mom goes, "No." And the baby pulls his hand back. Ah! And then the baby reaches out again, but in the background, it's a big pile of money. So it's like the baby's reaching out for the pile of money, and it says the baby is Zelensky, and the voice in the background saying no is Trump. And like that's what that meme was out before this meeting. And so when I saw the pieces that I've seen and whatnot, that little meme just kept coming into my head, like he's, actions speak louder than words. And so his actions to me displayed somebody that was defiant, that was rebellious, that walked in there with completely unrealistic expectations of what was about to take place. maybe through no fault of his own, only based on his past experience with the past administration that was funding him. And, that news article said that Biden lost his temper, but what exactly does that mean? I mean, did he stomp his foot?
Did he kick him out, or did he give
Or
him the
did he
money
just
anyway?
say, yeah, exactly. Like he said, well, you should show some more gratitude.
Here's your money.
Do you want this in a check or cashier's, yeah, like,
Did you bring a bag to put it in or what? Yeah, like it does
And
make
so
you
it's-
wonder that, because there's a little bit more to it than just that simple part of it,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of different parts of that, but the reality is he still gave him the money. He didn't send him
Right.
packing and say,
Right.
go regroup.
Yes.
Come back with a better
Yes.
attitude, come back with some graciousness, and come back and say something.
No.
So I'm going to share this part with you guys real quick, unless you still have
Oh,
more
no,
to
and
add.
so that's what I was that's what I was saying, like, I think he had unrealistic expectations, and he, in a way, got blindsided,
Mhm.
Not that I'm like, "Oh, poor guy got blindsided." I feel like, man, they should have done it twice. Like, let's get 2 blindsides in there, but it's his own fault, because he should also know that we had Trump in office for 4 years, and even though he was distracted with so many other things, Trump has always remained true to his word, and that's something like that's a hill he'll die on, is he follows through with everything that he says. He doesn't
Yeah,
blow
whether you
smoke.
like him or not, he does at least
He
follow
does
through with
what
what he
says
says.
he's gonna do. And so I think that's why all these distractions with, like, what Zelensky was wearing and how disrespectful it was, and then that reporter, I feel like all those things are just fodder for the subservience to play around with on social media,
Mhm.
while they're doing all this
Well,
other
there's
stuff over
actually
here.
something really important at play here.
Yes.
So, a friend of
So anyway,
mine,
that's my take on it.
I completely agree with you. A friend of mine actually posted on, oh, and apparently I don't have a camera on that one yet. Okay. So a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and I asked him if I was able to share this. So Christopher posted a post on Facebook, and he talked about this, and he said, okay, let me make sure I'm on that camera. Okay, so I largely waited until I watched the entire 50-minute sit down with Zelensky and Trump over the edited portion that just making the tabloids TV rounds before finalizing some thoughts. One, I like how this was televised. This is likely more what goes on behind closed doors that the public does not get to see. Okay, I'm going to pause there.
Mm.
I completely agree with that part of it. Is this is
Yes.
one of the very first and few times we've ever got to watch
Yes.
in live what's
Yes.
really the truth is, because it's generally all done behind closed
Mhm.
doors. You
Mhm.
see the exchange of handshakes when they arrive,
Yes, and then
and
when
the
they're
wonderful,
done.
beautiful thing, and you see the
Yes.
exchange of when they leave, and if nothing happens from it, you don't even see the exchange of them leaving.
True.
You see nothing.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
true.
hear nor
Yeah.
know anything that
Anything that
happens from
happened,
that
no.
point on.
No.
So, based on that, I do completely agree
Yes.
with that.
Yes.
We all get usually is the smile for the camera poses and signatures. This was hammering out details. This was largely diplomatic, of course. The media will only care about the ratings and the attention of the last 5 to 6 minutes. But I'd encourage watching the entire thing. It is the same thing that I have been saying, watch the whole 50 minutes, because the exchange, and a little bit of that reporter asking him about his attire adds to that, because he immediately became very defensive,
Mhm.
and he remained that way the rest of the time. He should have been able
Okay.
to brush that off when
Sure.
Trump brushed it off and gave him a kudos. You know, like so let me go back to finish this because I think it's in
Yeah.
there. But I'd encourage watching the entire thing. Remember, we're talking about two entirely different cultures in conversations here. People hear things with an American ear and form judgments based on how things are said when in a Slavic culture. The intention is different than what is expressed. Imagine as American being in a room of Slavic speakers and not understanding the ebb and flow of conversations in their language. Good questions were asked, sans the stupid, why aren't you in a suit, petty and not in line with the subject at hand. And to Trump's credit, he defended Zelensky with I like that the way you're dressed, and he patted him on the back. Now, I added that he patted him on the back, but he did. He patted him on the back and said, I like what you're wearing. So he was trying to switch that. Smart questions were asked, to which Trump acknowledged as smart questions. Zelensky is not in the wrong for asking JD on diplomacy. The war has been going on since 2014, 4 years of that being under Trump's first term. Okay, now I would disagree with that. This war has not been going on since 2014. There was conflicts during
Not the
2014.
active fighting part of the war, but it
The
began.
war has not been going on since 2014. Conflicts between them and some small things had happened from then. And of course, Biden gave them blankets and non-lethal assistance. And then it continued. Trump gave him javelins because it was starting to heat off and it was going on two different sides. So it wasn't technically considered really a war yet.
Right.
And then the invasion and occupation that actually kicked off this into an actual war was 3 years ago. They just had the 3-year anniversary. And I don't know why, this stupid camera all of a sudden will put stuff on there. But so it technically kicked off as an actual war 3 years ago. They just had the 3-year anniversary of the invasion and the occupation. So that's generally when it's really considered a war, because when Trump was in office, they did sign a peace deal, they did sign a treaty, and they did stop the fighting. And it didn't start again till 2022. So, I mean, when you look at it from those different perspectives, like World War I never stopped. You know, because we just went from World War I into World War II because there was a very short period of a ceasefire between Germany and other nations. And it continued into World War II. Well, the reason why it's a World War I and a World War II is because people got involved a second time. So that I'm just a little disclaimer there is it's not technically a war that has been going on for a decade. You know, they've been skirmishes and, you know, I mean, in all reality, like you could say the same thing for all parts of the world where there's been battles and conflicts. Some of those have been going on for 2,000 years. We're not in a 2,000-year war, you know,
Right.
Conflicts are not the war itself. Conflicts, the stop, if they pause and there is a ceasefire or there's an end to something and it continues, why? And I 100% believe with every ounce of my being that the reason why it actually kicked off is because Biden was buddying up with Ukraine. He was asking for them to, you know, do certain things like fire prosecutors, stop investigating them, I feel like he was like, look at America's my best friend. You're not. And it kind of heated that up. So then he also knew, and Biden and Kamala Harris, she went over there and supposedly negotiated whatever. He invaded right after her visit because he learned real quick, these people are weak. They don't have a backbone to stand on, and Trump wasn't in office. Okay, so he said 4 years of that being under Trump's first term, but Trump did get them to sign a peace agreement during that period of time. Heck, I would have asked that question because really it's been 10 years. So yes, the conflicts have been going on for more than 10 years. I mean, in all reality, conflicts with Russia and all different parts of Europe have been happening for decades. You know, on what basis do you think diplomacy will work with Putin this time when you had 4 years in your first term in office and Putin was aggressive? That's not actually true. He is the one that got them to sign a peace agreement and a ceasefire when he was in office, and nothing else continued while he was in office. That's why I do agree with what JD Vance said and what Trump has said is it won't happen with him in office because Putin is afraid of Trump. And he will not be aggressive if we have a dog in that fight and at that point. Entirely fair question, JD, and not worthy of the response you answered with. I disagree. And that's the beauty of it is we can talk about it, but we can agree and we can disagree. I disagree that he was being, his response was watching all the body language the entire time. And I would encourage you to watch those, to Chris or whoever else might be watching, I would really encourage you to watch the body analysis report, people that did videos on, and I mean, like they watched the entire thing and did the body analysis through the whole thing. So like one of them's an hour and 47 minutes for him to actually get through each part of that. So JD's response was in response to Zelensky's reactions. He was giving a way of saying, hey, what the hell are you doing? Shaking your head no. So he asked the question that needed to be asked. And in all respect, I almost wonder if he asked it in order to evoke the response he got. Because he turned around and you couldn't hear what he said, but he said something in Ukrainian and he said it under his breath and he just whispered it. But if you look at the whole picture, which one of the analysis did, and he said, you saw his a Ukraine ambassador immediately put her head down and her hands on her head and shake her head. Because what he said in Ukrainian was, bitch. And he called our vice president a bitch in the Oval Office, is what he did. Just people didn't know because we don't speak Ukrainian. Well, somebody else did, and somebody else was able to tell us what he actually said, and he called our vice president a bitch. That I have a big freaking problem with.
Well, and I don't feel that JD was out of line with anything.
I
and
don't
the
either.
reason being because if you look at the last administration, both Biden and Harris were pretty absent. We had to look at Jean-Claude Van Damme or whatever the hell her name was. What was her name?
Jean-Pierre or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Janina, what I don't know.
But like you got high school girl her every day. Yeah. Let's be clear. Clear. Like if she says clear,
he already told you he will not pardon his son Hunter
he already
Biden.
He said that. Let's be clear. He just pardoned Hunter. Oh. That's all for today, folks.
Bye.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what we saw. Harris was a completely absent vice president.
And he didn't do any cabinet meetings for 11 months. And then the one he did do, his wife took over.
Yeah.
So in defense of Zelensky, if that's what you're used to, you kind of go in thinking this is a done deal. This is easy.
Yeah.
Of course, so that's why he probably went to Marco Rubio saying, sure, no problem, because he's expecting to get whatever it is he wanted. So I'm going to finish this. Not worthy of the response you answered with. I do disagree there. I did give my response and he did respond to that. Answer the question as asked. Otherwise you look like you don't have an answer. Another entirely fair question, media. What's going to be USA's response if Russia goes back on their word in any sort of deal? I don't think they will is not a really concrete answer, but again, the public may not need to know the inner details of that. Now, I get that point completely, but at the same time, he is basing it on when he was president previously and how Putin responds to him.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't answer questions that are not at hand.
Right.
You can only answer those questions as to what is happening right now. And he said we have to sign the mineral deal, then we will work on securities. And should Putin renege on something, then we will deal with that when that happens.
Right.
And I think it was funny, but it was also not necessarily needed that way for Trump to turn around and say, well, a bomb can fall on your head right now to the reporter.
I know. I was like,
the ceiling could fall in. Like, you can't
well, that's the
base
thing.
you can't base
base your
current
decisions
answers
on what
on what
ifs.
ifs or what the
You
future holds. You
can't.
have to only do it on right now. And what
Yes.
right now is
Yes.
that he has Putin in a form of an agreement.
Mhm.
Now, part of that agreement, though, is Zelensky does have to compromise. Zelensky doesn't want to do any compromising. He
Right.
made it very clear, I will not compromise. Ukraine will not compromise. Well, you are pulling men off the street and forcing them to fight. You haven't got as much clout or pull as you think you do, because you need the bodies, you need the manpower, you need the ammunition, you need the funding, you need air support, you need all these things that you do not have to give. And it doesn't matter how much ammunition we get if you don't have anybody to shoot the bullets. Bottom line.
Yep.
I don't really think they will is not a concrete answer. Okay, like I said, I disagree with that. Trump and Zelensky shared a few barbs between them, but both were able to shrug them off as Trump, for all intents and purposes, acted in wanting to make a deal. Trump got interrupted and corrected by Zelensky a few times before JD stepped in again. And I agree with JD stepping in at that point, because he was done watching his exchange, because while Trump was talking to and answering media questions, Zelensky was responding with shakings of the head, with attitude. And he had had enough. And there were some things about Marco Rubio's body language too that people were pointing out, that they were all pissed at Trump or pissed at this or that. They were all getting pissed at Zelensky because he was shaking his head at the wrong times. Every time the word peace was mentioned, he would shake his head no.
Wow.
Because he doesn't want peace.
No, he doesn't.
He wants to continue this war because they're getting money out of it. Because I don't think the $350 million of equipment and money that we have provided for him has gone to the war effort.
There's no way.
Trump kept composed, focused on the deal at hand, focusing on America, while rich in oil and gas does not have rare earth minerals needed for AI. I did find it funny. He kept calling it raw earth instead of rare earth. And I thought the media was going to attack him for being stupid, but they didn't. I never really heard anything about him calling it raw instead of rare, because it's rare earth minerals needed for AI. And I do have to agree with this part, he says. Somewhat surprising and transparent, letting the rest of the world know a weakness of the USA in the AI race. I kind of agree with that. Point being, while the nation now is all on Trump, if I'm being fair, which, look, I'm neither Democrat or Republican, haven't been for a while now, it's just too slimy. Trump looked very diplomatic until JD kindled the flame, which then put Trump in a position he had to defend his VP. But my honest take is this deal gets signed had JD answered an honest question from Zelensky, and I disagree with that. It was never going to get signed because he didn't go in with the intention of signing it, especially after we know he had a meeting like literally a couple hours before. Trump tried to quell it initially, but JD kept pushing. I didn't see it that way. As a middleman, Trump has every right to be as diplomatic with Russia and Ukraine. He's right. War has been fought for years, and we've given Zelensky ample amount of cash and weapons. Giving them more is not the answer. And Zelensky needs to understand this. Trump is not going to hand you more military expenses that you want. He's just not. America had a war like this called Vietnam, and a stubborn president by the name of LBJ who continued to want to fight a losing war, and we did. Say all you want about Nixon, but he finally called it and took the defeat rather than cost Americans more lives. Wars happen, people lose, even the wrong team wins sometimes. It's been happening since Cain and Abel. You won't win this war. As Zelensky is not going to happen. You're not going to get all your land back. Borders will change. Don't be an LBJ. Trump will help you by putting Americans in the area for business means. This will definitely halt advancements by Putin putting citizens of the strongest NATO country in Ukraine. As for the mineral wealth in Ukraine, now controlled by Russia, that's not an answer for now and may not be an answer for a while. Good question by the media again, though I'd consider that land Russia now if it means peace. Trump was 100% correct, and compromise is part of the deal. Zelensky will likely be back. Trump is too seasoned to let a blow up like this be permanent. In the business world, you don't have to be the best buds. You just need to know all the parts of the deal. I think Zelensky, Rubio, and Trump will hammer something out, this time without JD and probably behind closed doors. Now, I do disagree with the JD parts of this conversation because of the fact that that I think that there is more to it than that. And I think JD was watching from a Marine standpoint as well, where he was watching that body language very clearly, and he was he wasn't attacking him. He was defending the US and he was telling him, you have to be acceptable. You have to be grateful. He was also explaining that, I'm seeing what's happening where you're just grabbing people off the street and putting them in whether they want to or not. So that is another part of that question that I didn't switch it back, that I would be concerned with. And it is important for us all to look at the whole picture and the whole part of that. So not to take this like too long here, but I will reply what my response was to him. As I said, just to correct, the invasion and occupation just had the 3-year anniversary. The war actually only began 3 years ago. There was an aggression and disagreement since before 2014. It was actually 2012 or something. They started a small battle during Obama's administration, and Trump did get a cooperation during the administration. So this war itself is not 10 years old. It is 3 as for this officially as a war. I did watch this live and I picked up on a few things too. As a veteran, I watched a few things like body language. I love that you reviewed and gave an analysis as an American. I think people need to evaluate the whole event and not just the finish, as there is a lot to the lead up. I do agree as to the reporter's question on the suit being petty and inappropriate. I personally may have felt it was a sign of disrespect. As a journalist who covered politics my entire journalism career, I would never have never insulted a dignitary like this. JD saw that Trump and Rubio were getting heated also. I believe JD's jump in was not necessarily heating things up based on a few things. Hear me out. Zelensky was doing his best to bait Trump into saying on camera that the United States would ensure, keyword, ensure, make certain securities. He stated multiple times securities, America to stop Putin, air defense, and other statements indicated he wanted American boots on the ground, which is not part of this deal. JD picked up on this. Watch the entire time Trump said anything about both sides, Zelensky would get visibly upset. When Trump would say this must end, Zelensky would literally shake his head no. Zelensky also said he would not make any compromise or agree to a ceasefire without securities. Trump stated several times that we have to get the deal done, then we can discuss securities. I would encourage you to also watch this language analysis below. I am also going to watch another one to see if it differs significantly. I watched 3, none of them differed. I will be discussing this all on my show. Uh, if you are interested and you want that body language one, just email us at Dear Margaret, and I can send that to you. And the last thing that I will get onto right here is our Dear Margaret, real quick. I think it's let's see what here. Nope. And then we will finish up because our time is up. We've already gone through like our whole time. Like, this is crazy, right? So his question for Dear Margaret is, so my question for the show would be, why would the White House entertain Zelensky, or why would Zelensky want to go to the White House if he already refused to sign the deal twice before? What angle was being played? Signed, 3 blind mice. Now, I would have to say that I think his angle was he was hoping that, like all the other times before, he would just walk out with a load of cash and it would just go his way. And if he got everything he wanted, regardless of the meeting he had prior to that, where they told him not to sign it, if he walked in there and Trump's like, yeah, we'll put boots on the ground. Here's your securities. Here's this. Oh, and here's another $100 billion or $300 billion or whatever it was that he wanted, he'd have signed it. He'd have signed it in a heartbeat because, like, that's what he wants. He wants us to come over and put Putin in his place. He wants us to come, and he doesn't care that could pop off a World War III. He only cares, and this is where I have a big issue with it. He only cares about himself. Because if he really cared about his people, he would sign a ceasefire and let's negotiate. That's the bottom line.
He would actually be the one begging for it because he's the lesser powered in this fight. So, like,
I'll give you this little piece of land and
sense. No sense. Plus the fact that there are citizens living in Ukraine who still want to be Russian, who still want where they live to be part of Russia. They want to maintain those old languages and old traditions. And so
there's a lot of old people
it-
from back in the day that wish and want for the old Soviet Union, USSR back.
There is.
And-
now,
and
do we
Putin
think
is one
that's
of them.
great? Not really. But I
and
mean,
Putin's one of them.
but that's their shit. Like, we should not have a say about any of this at all. Like, I am personally, I'm super played out. Like, I'm played out on it all because it's just been another bread and circus type of situation to get everybody
they're
riled
feeding
up
the
over
geese.
this. And
Like,
well, here's some more shit for you to squabble over, and it's tiring. It's exhausting, especially when you get on social media and you just see the vitriol and that's just spewed out about it, on top of lumping every person into this whatever opinion that they have. Like, I'm personally tired of being called names because of the way that I feel, because I'm not putting a I stand with Ukraine sticker on my thing. I'm not changing my profile picture with the Ukrainian border. I'm not expressing myself 5 times a day of how horrible this all is.
And I'm also not going to go on there and say I don't stand with Ukraine. Like, I'm not going to.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't
it's
give.
not my fucking fight.
Give a fuck.
Yeah,
like,
it is
I
not
really
my
don't.
problem. It's not.
We
my
have
fight.
so many other things going on. Like, as far as the United States of America, what they're uncovering financially that affects each and every person that's on this soil, outweighs anything that's going on in any other
Well,
country.
and I 1,000% stand behind the fact that when they asked Trump how much money he was going to give him, he's like, I don't know that yet because we have to go over there and we have to start working.
Yeah.
It's an exchange
Yes.
for the minerals.
It's no longer a gift. Now it's a loan. And it's a loan that you're going to have to pay back.
And he had a visceral reaction
Yep.
to Trump saying
Yep.
that. He did not like the fact that he's like, this is not going to be given. And there's no money exchange at all until we get over there and start working. His facial expression was like, wait, what? I'm not getting like a whole bag of
Yeah, no.
cash.
No, you're not.
I'm not, leaving with my golden suitcase.
Yeah.
Like what the
I'm
hell
really
is
sorry, Zelensky. Go find yourself a fucking safe space to go cry about it. You've got lots of liberals that have your back. Maybe you can invite them over to one of your 11 homes that you own all over the planet.
Well, maybe you could get all these
console them and coddle them.
You know who you can get as your
join
volunteers.
Your military.
Yeah.
You don't have to yank little boys off the street anymore. Come over here and yank.
Just go look on social media and find all the people with their little Ukraine hearts and knock on their door and say, hey, would you like to come and fight
with you, buddy?
They stand with you.
Look, they put it on Facebook.
It's official. It's official. Yeah. So based on those things, I would say, he was hoping that Trump would cave because he thought that and that's why he did the negotiations in front of the media. He thought Trump would cave in front of the press. Yes. And that he could, if he could just get him to say on camera, I will give securities.
Yeah.
And he didn't take the bait. He didn't take the bait. He didn't take the bait. So that goes to tell me all the times that Trump did take the bait, it's because he was going to troll your ass. But like the whole point of it is it's not our fight. It's not our dog. And it has to end. And if he doesn't get something agreed to in a short period of time, whatever money it is they gave, and Trump is not going to jump in the fight just because Europe decides they want to jump into it.
Right. He's not going to throw us under the bus like that.
Well, and I'm going to say, they need to be careful. NATO and the European Union and all those different ones, they've got to be careful with that too, because they are poking at a bear that has the backing of North Korea and China.
Yeah.
So you don't want to end up, and if you really push it hard enough, do you really want us on the other side?
Yeah.
Because you're pushing for a war that is going to turn it into a world war.
Yep.
And you don't want to be and Trump is the type of person, he is not aligned with Putin.
Right.
But Trump is on the line of the winning team.
Right. Yes.
And who will be the winning team in this
standing
one?
for his own country. Just like Russia doesn't give a flying fuck what's happening in anybody else's countries or wars or anything like that. China does not worry about those things. Nobody worries about those things except the NATO countries.
But I look at them like they need to have a cognizant mindset of looking at the fact that he has signed agreements and has made agreements with North Korea and China.
Yes.
You do not want to fight a war against Russia, China, and North Korea.
No.
You do not, because let me tell you, North Korea alone has more manpower, more ammunitions, and more artillery than you will ever have. Ukraine, UK, you put the whole entire Europe together, it is very small, and the amount of artillery, manpower, and whatnot they have compared to China. Forget China, Russia, and North Korea. One of those individually has more than they do. Put the three of them together, they will annihilate you, all of you.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about whether or not Ukraine has to give them this little piece of land and say, we're done.
Right.
You will have the entire thing will now be back to the USSR.
Yes. in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. So you
Mhm.
need to think of you want to talk
bigger
about
picture.
what
Yes.
happens if.
Yes.
That is the if.
Mhm.
Because you don't have, your cash and checks, your talent can't cash. I mean,
your writing
checks, your talent can't cash, because you don't have the talent and the means to handle this war and to fight this war.
No collateral. He has no collateral whatsoever.
And Trump is not going to sign deals
with no
for
collateral.
the U.S. that is not going to benefit us in any way, shape, or form.
Anymore.
Especially not when we are already suffering enough in our own country right now with homelessness, economics,
overdoses,
suicides, our border. Hey, I got an answer for them in one small thing, and then we are out of here. They could just go to the border that we're having a problem with, and you can recruit all of them to be your soldiers.
That too. Yeah.
You just truck their asses over to the airport, fly them on over, give them their little uniforms, and let them go on the front lines for you. Just let them drop until there's none left, because that's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking at. You don't have, you're fighting a dog fight with a Chihuahua against a pit bull. And you're not, you got 300 pit bulls and you're sending in 700 Chihuahuas. That's not going to win the fight. No. That's lunch.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it in a lot bigger manner, and you have to realize that you're putting everyone at risk because you don't want to save face. You don't want to relent. You don't want to compromise. You don't, this is the same as, let's go stupid. If a husband and wife want two different things, someone has to compromise. I want the minivan. I want the sports car. Well, what's a compromise? Well, there's this kind of cool looking SUV that's it's still got the extra space that you want, but it doesn't look as stupid as a minivan. But, and it also gathers some speed and it can do this. So our compromise is we're going to go with this one. I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get what I wanted, but together we can come up with a solution. Okay, I realize that's not the same as a land. That is not same as a war. But to end a disagreement, sometimes you have to just finally say, okay, I don't have to have exactly what I want. What can we bring to the table? And what is brought to the table is Americans on the ground for our benefit, and we'll protect it once we're there. But we have to have something in writing and some kind of agreement that basically you're not just going to keep trying to keep fighting, especially when all arrows, all neon signs point to, I want to fight. I want a war. I don't want to stop. He won't even let them vote him out.
Well, I also equate it too to like, if you as a parent, because that's kind of how I feel in this situation, like the United States is the parent,
right,
and Ukraine is the child. So Ukraine is the child that's out there on the streets being a rebel, doing whatever he wants, picking fights, snorting coke, getting drunk, whatever, like being irresponsible with the funds, being irresponsible with the car that mom and dad gave him.
$20 I gave you.
Yes, that's exactly how the funds have obviously been mismanaged.
Yeah.
And if
I'd like to know an accounting of that.
Yeah. And we should have one, because those funds came from the United States. And so
came from my pocket.
Have to account for every penny that comes across our little bank account.
Why don't you have to?
How in the world does another country not have to account for anything that we give them? That's to us. Accounted to us. It was our backs that did the work.
It's not
to provide
it's not the White House's money.
No.
It's the people's money.
We don't all go, hey, Daddy Donald.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Could I get a check? No, like we're out there busting our butts every day, taking care of our own, but contributing to our country, only to find out that all of this has just been pissed off in the wind for some crazy war that, now if our country was under fire and we were being attacked, absolutely, I'm all for it. But we need to clean up our act right now, and we need to button up the loose ends and fix the walls that were cracking, and like we have to do that before we can. I feel like we need to pull ourselves back off of the world stage for a minute.
Right. We need to put
and
all
regroup as a country.
And I personally,
and we can't regroup as a country if everybody's going, I stand with Ukraine.
and I personally also think that like we need to give it a minute. Like our president just took office
less than 2 months.
Less
than 2 months ago.
Barely a month ago. Like it's 38 days or something, 35 days. Like, I mean, it's barely been a month. Certain cabinet members have some aren't even done yet, but they only just took over their cabinet positions. And we're already trying to negotiate out of World War III. And can we like group up a little bit?
Yeah,
can we get some things in place?
Let's bring the cost of eggs down first.
Yeah, because that's the
what I'm saying is like that.
I mean, I agree, because this was what he fought on, is that he would end the war quickly. But you can't end it when it's not your fight.
Exactly. He can only do as much as he can do.
But you have to get the leaders to talk to each other. And you can't even get them to. Somebody said, can you just have them get in a room? No, they'll kill each other.
Yeah.
Like, you don't put your two best fighters.
Yeah.
Your two big pit bulls in the room together.
Right.
They're going to tear each other's heads off. But what you have to do is I think there should have been a little bit more time on the table negotiating. And I'm going to say this because I can, I guess. I think if Trump had learned that meeting that they held before he arrived, he should have stopped it before he got there.
I think
he should have said, I'm sorry, I understood you met with these other people prior to coming here. I think I will set you up in a room. You can go sit with Marco Rubio. And when you two are ready to come talk to me, then I will come and talk to you. But because I feel, and I don't know, maybe he didn't learn about it till after the fact, but if he knew about it, I think he should have not even had the meeting. I think he should have said.
I think if Trump knew about it, he would have said something.
Yeah, I do too.
I
think he would have been like, so you met with these people already? I think he would have said something in the meeting. I think he would have said something. Too. But had he known and he didn't, I would be very disappointed because that should have gone back to the table. Yeah. Because they were doing it to try to ruin it. So with that, we are out of here, people. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I hope that you will subscribe and come and see us. We will be here every day on Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. We are so glad that you were here, and we thank you so much for watching and listening to us. Please remember to have a fabulous day. Thank you so much, and have a good night. Why is it not playing? Hello?
Thank you for watching Girl TauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret
my stupid overlays are gone now. Whatever.
Then join us for our opinion-based answers. We love having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. forget to like, follow, subscribe.